Sure. Here's a deep, detailed, and very simple summary of the entire passage about India on the eve of Muhammad of Ghur's invasion, focusing mainly on Sham Punjab. Detailed, simple summary. Time period. We are talking about the last 25 years of the 12th century. That means from 1175 to 1200 AD. This is just before Muhammad of Ghur, a powerful foreign ruler from Afghanistan, invaded and changed Indian history. Northwest India at that time. During this time, the northwest part of India, now mostly in Pakistan, had already seen several Muslim rulers come in from the west, like from Afghanistan and Central Asia. 3 important regions in this area were 1. Punjab, 2. Multan, 3. Sindh. These 3 areas were not ruled by Indian kings, but by foreign Muslim dynasties. Focus on Punjab. Who conquered Punjab first? In the early 11th century, around 1000 AD, Mahmud of Ghazni, a powerful Muslim ruler from Afghanistan, invaded and captured Punjab. He made it a part of his empire, called the Ghaznavid Empire. How long did Ghaznavid rule last in Punjab? The Ghaznavids ruled Punjab for about 180 years, from around 1000 to 1186 AD. Punjab became one of the earliest Muslim-ruled regions in India, after Sindh, which had fallen in 712 AD. What happened later to the Ghaznavids? In the 12th century, the Guz Turks, another powerful Turkic tribe, attacked Ghazni, the original capital of the Ghaznavids in Afghanistan. The Ghaznavid ruler Khusrav Shah was forced to flee, run away, and take refuge in Punjab. From then on, the Ghaznavid rulers gave up Ghazni and settled in Punjab, making Lahore their capital. So the Ghaznavid Empire shifted from Afghanistan to India, and they fully ruled from Punjab now. What areas did this Punjab kingdom include? Cities like Peshawar and Sialkot were part of it. To the northeast, there was the Hindu kingdom of Jammu. The southern boundary of Punjab was always changing, sometimes expanding, sometimes shrinking, depending on wars and control. Clashes with Indian rulers. The Hindu king Prithvi Raj Ush from the Chauhan dynasty fought with these Muslim rulers. His successor, Ajayaraj, lost the important city of Nagaur in present-day Rajasthan to a Ghaznavid general named Bahlim in the year 1112 AD. Why is this important? This situation shows that India was already partly ruled even before Muhammad of Ghur came. The Ghurid had fully settled in India, especially in Punjab. The Chauhans were fighting hard to protect their lands. This was the political setup that Muhammad of Ghur would walk into when he launched his attacks later in the 1180s and 1190s. In short, very simply, around 1175, northwest India had foreign Muslim rulers in Punjab, Multan, and Sindh. Punjab was ruled by the Ghaznavids, who had moved there after losing Ghazni. They made Lahore their capital and ruled cities like Peshawar and Sialkot. Nearby Hindu kings like the Chauhans fought with them, but sometimes lost important places like Nagaur. This situation weakened Indian unity and made it easier for Muhammad of Ghur to invade later. Would you like a map or a visual diagram to help understand this better? Or should I continue with the explanation next? Here is a great, deeply detailed summary of the passage you gave, written in the simplest possible English for a total beginner, with all the important points clearly explained. Your deep, simple summary of the passage. In the 1100s, 12th century CE, northern India saw a long fight between the Hindu Rajput kings, especially the Chauhans, and the Muslim rulers of the Ghaznavid dynasty, who controlled parts of Punjab and northwest India. 1. Chauhans versus Muslims. The Chauhan king, Prithvi Raj-e, fought battles against the Muslim rulers. After him, the next king, Ajayaraj, lost the city of Nagaur to a Ghaznavid officer named Bahlim in 1112 CE. This showed that at that time, the Ghaznavids were still strong enough to take Rajput territory. 2. Comeback of the Chauhans. A later Chauhan king, Vigraharaj III, took back Hansi in 1167 CE from the Muslim Ghaznavid rulers of Punjab. His successor, Prithvi Raj Sikhi, made Hansi stronger by fortifying it. He built walls and defenses to protect it. Prithviraj II also captured Bathinda, a city even further north. This pushed the Chauhan kingdom's northern border closer to modern-day Firozapur, near today's India-Pakistan border. It showed the Chauhans were now on the offensive, attacking deep into Muslim territory. The Ghaznavid Empire was weakening. The Ghaznavid rulers, who were once powerful under Mahmud of Ghazni, were now falling apart. The later kings were lazy, corrupt, and careless. Their government and army were badly managed. Bribes, laziness, and bad planning were common. 4. Last Ghaznavid ruler, Khusrav Malik. He was more interested in pleasure and fun than ruling the kingdom. He let his officers act freely, almost like small kings themselves. He was weak and could not control the army or government properly. 5. Occasional Muslim raids, but rare. Even though the Ghaznavid kingdom was decaying, once in a while, a brave Muslim army commander would go on a raid into a nearby Hindu kingdom. He would destroy villages, loot wealth, and bring it back. But these brave and active commanders were rare. Most of the Muslim officers were not brave or strong anymore. 6. Fear of Rajput power. By this time, the Muslim king of Lahore, Punjab, was constantly afraid that the Rajput Chauhans might attack his kingdom. The balance of power had shifted. The Hindus were now attacking, and the Muslims were on the defensive. What this means in history. The 1100s were a time when Hindu Rajput kings, especially the Chauhans, became very powerful and pushed back against Muslim Ghaznavid rule in North India. The Ghaznavid kingdom, once a mighty empire under Mahmud of Ghazni, was now falling apart due to bad kings and corrupt officials. The Chauhans were taking back lost land, building military bases like Hansi, and even moving their borders forward by capturing cities like Bathinda. The last Ghaznavid ruler, Khusrav Malik, was too weak to stop this. This period shows a turning point where Indian Hindu kings were on the rise, and the Ghaznavids were near their end. Would you like a map-based explanation, a timeline chart, or a storybook version to make this even easier? Here is a great, deeply detailed, and very simple summary of the full passage you gave about Multan under the Karamitas, Sindh under the Sumras, written easiest possible English, with all key points, background, and extra context clearly explained. It's made for someone with zero background knowledge, like a beginner or a curious layperson. Deep and simple summary. 1. Where are Multan and Sindh? Multan and Sindh are two important regions in what is now Pakistan. Multan is located in the north, near the upper part of the Indus River. Sindh is located south of Multan, near the Arabian Sea. Its southern part is called Lower Sindh. 2. Who were the Karamitas in Multan? The Karamitas, also spelled Karmath, Muslim group who followed a special kind of Shia Islam. They were part of a radical of Islam called Ismaili Shia, which was different from the more common Sunni Islam. They often opposed powerful Sunni rulers and sometimes even attacked Muslim holy places. For example, they once attacked Mecca. In Multan, they created a Shia Muslim kingdom. This means they ruled the region as an independent state based on their religious beliefs. 3. What happened when Mahmud of Ghazni came? Mahmud of Ghazni was a powerful Sunni Muslim king from Afghanistan. Around the year 1000 CE, he led many invasions into India and conquered many cities. He attacked and captured Multan from the Karamitas. Mahmud wanted to expand his empire and spread Sunni Islam, so he removed the Shia rulers of Multan. 4. What happened after Mahmud died? After Mahmud died, his control weakened. The Karamita Shia Muslims in Multan regained control and became independent again. They ruled Multan and possibly other towns like Uch, another religious city nearby. This shows that Mahmud's conquests were not always permanent. Some regions escaped his control after his death. What was happening in Sindh during this time? Sindh is the region south of Multan. Its main city was Dibal, a coastal port city near the sea. Mahmud of Ghazni had also conquered parts of Sindh, just like he conquered Multan. 6. Who were the Sumras in Sindh? After Mahmud died, a local Muslim tribe in Sindh called the Sumras took over. The Sumras were Shia Muslims too, just like the Karamitas in Multan. Their exact origin is unclear. Historians are not sure if they were Arab settlers, native people, or converts to Islam. The Sumras declared independence and ruled Lower Sindh, Southern Sindh, as Shia rulers. 7. Why is this important? It shows that after Muhammad's death, his empire did not last in every place. Some regions like Multan and Sindh became independent again, ruled by local Shia Muslim leaders. These rulers had different beliefs from the Sunni rulers of larger empires. It also shows that local tribes and groups governed themselves when the central power weakened. Final key points. Region, ruler. After Mahmud, religion. Notes. Karmitas, Ismaili, radical group, regained control after Mahmud died. Lower Sindh, Sumras Shia, local tribe, obscure origin independently. In simple words, Multan and Sindh were once part of Mahmud's empire. But after he died, local Shia Muslim groups took back control. These groups, Karamitas in Multan and Sumras in Sindh, ruled on their own, without outside control. This shows how local rulers could rise again when powerful empires weakened. It also shows that Shia Islam had strong rulers in early medieval South Asia, even though most Islamic empires were Sunni. Would you like a map, a timeline, or a diagram of rulers and religions to make it even easier to understand? I can create that for you too. Absolutely. Here's a great, deep, and varied summary of the full passage on virtues, explained like you're brand new to the topic. Clarity. Summary. The Rajputs, who they were and what went wrong. Who were the Rajputs? The Rajputs were powerful warrior rulers in India during the early medieval period. They ruled many parts of India after older empires had fallen and before Muslim powers became strong. They said they came from the ancient Kshatriyas, the warrior class in Hindu society. They also believed their ancestors came from the sun or the moon, which meant they thought they were noble and divine. What do historians say about their origin? Modern historians were not just from one group. They were a mixture of people. Some from old Indian warrior families, some from foreign tribes like the Huns or Shakas invaded India long ago. These from India became Hindus and joined Rajput society. Over time, these different groups blended into what we now call the Rajput class. What were the Rajputs like? Their good qualities, virtues. 1. Bravery. Rajputs were very courageous. They would never run away from battle. Even if death was sure, they would fight till the end. 2. Honor and chivalry. They followed a code of honor, like knights in medieval Europe. They respected opponents, didn't attack from behind, and fought fairly. 3. Pride in skill and war. They were proud of their sword-fighting skills. They saw war not just as duty, but as a passion, something they loved doing. Young Rajputs were trained early in weapons, riding, and fighting. Paksh, what were their problems? Faults. 1. Clannishness. Too divided. Rajputs lived in many small clans, families, or tribes. Each clan had its own pride and rivalries. They often fought each other, even when outsiders attacked. This made them weak and easy to defeat by united enemies like the Turks. 2. Feudal society. Their political system was feudal. One king ruled many smaller chiefs. These chiefs had their own armies and acted independently. There was no strong central rule. They were often more loyal to their own land than to the king. So, when big wars happened, many did not help the king or even refused to join. 3. Obsession with war. Rajputs were so focused on fighting, they ignored other important things. Building strong governments, managing economy, making peace and alliances, improving people's lives. Their love for war blinded them to bigger responsibilities. What happened in the end? Because of all these problems, internal fighting, lack of unity, too much focus on war, the Rajputs became easy targets for stronger, more organized foreign invaders, like the Turks. These invaders, like Mahmud of Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori, took over large parts of India. The Rajput kingdoms fell, one by one. Final summary in one sentence. The Rajputs were brave and noble warriors who lived with honor and pride, but their weakness lay in being too divided, too focused on war, and too disorganized, which led to their downfall when stronger enemies invaded. Would you like a comparison table showing Rajput strengths versus weaknesses? Or a timeline of Rajput rise and fall? I can give that in the same simple style. Here is a great, deep, and very detailed of the passage about the Chalukyas of Anhilwara. English, like teaching a beginner or a child. Summary. The Chalukyas of Anhilwara. Rise, power, and fall. The Chalukyas of Anhilwara were a Rajput dynasty that ruled western India, especially the region we call Gujarat today. Their capital city was Anhilwara, now called Patan in modern Gujarat. To put in that area, they were the most powerful, especially important because they lived near the northwestern borders of India, which were already being attacked or ruled by foreign invaders from Central Asia and the Middle East. The greatest Chalukya king, Jaya Singh Siddharaja, 1102 to 1143 CE. The most famous and powerful Chalukya king was Jaya Singh Siddharaja. He ruled from 1102 to 1143 CE. He made the Chalukya kingdom very strong and respected. He conquered the Paramaras of Malwa, a major kingdom in what is now Madhya Pradesh. He also defeated the Guhilats, who ruled Chittor in Rajasthan, a very famous Rajput fort. He further took control of Nedal and Girnar, which were smaller kingdoms in and around Kathiawar, a region in Gujarat. So under Jaya Singh, the Chalukyas controlled a large part of western and central India. Conflict with the Chauhans of Ajmer. But then Jaya Singh got into a long and bitter war with another Rajput dynasty, the Chauhans, who ruled from Ajmer in Rajasthan. These two powerful Rajput families fought each other for dominance. This fighting weakened both sides. The Chalukyas, in particular, became less important and lost much of their power. They were no longer a fast empire, but a second-class regional power. Loss of conquered territories. After Jaya Singh's time, the Chalukya Empire began to break apart. The regions they had captured, like Malwa, Chittor, other areas of western and southern Rajasthan, called Rajputana, all these places rebelled and became free again. The Chalukyas lost control over these areas. Now, the only land still under Chalukya rule was Gujarat and Kathiawar. The end. Muhammad of Ghur's invasion. By the late 1100s, the Chalukyas were no longer a great power. At that time, a major foreign invader named Muhammad of Ghur began to attack India. He was from Central Asia and wanted to conquer the Indian plains. The Chalukya ruler at this time was Mullah Raja sect, but the Chalukyas were too weak to stop him. Final summary in easy points. 1. Chalukyas of Anhilwara were Rajput rulers of Gujarat. 2. Their capital was Anhilwara, today's Patan. 3. Their greatest king was Jaya Singh Siddharaja. 4. He expanded the empire into Malwa, Chittor Nadol, and Girnar. 5. He fought with the Chauhans of Ajmer, which weakened the kingdom. 6. After him, the conquered lands broke away and became independent. Only Gujarat and Kathiawar remained under Chalukya control. 8. At the time of Muhammad of Ghur's invasion, the Chalukyas were small and weak. 9. Their last major king was Mullah Raj II. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a timeline of events, a map showing the places mentioned, a chart comparing Rajput dynasties. I'll gladly create them in the same easy. Here is a great, deep, and of the Chauhans of Ajmer in the simplest possible language with all extra context and explanation to help you fully understand everything, even if you're a total beginner. Summary. The Chauhans of Ajmer in very simple, deeply detailed form. 1. Who were the Chauhans? The Chauhans were a Rajput dynasty, a royal warrior family. They ruled from Ajmer, a city in Rajasthan. Rajputs were known for bravery for war. They were one of the most powerful Rajput dynasties in North India. 2. Foundation and early kings. The Chauhan dynasty was founded by a man named Samanta. A later king named Ajayapala built up the city of Ajmer around the 11th century CE, around 1000 to 1100 AD. This city became the capital and main center of Chauhan power. 3. Temporary Chalukya control for a short time around 1153 to 1164 CE. During the rule of Arno Raja, the Chauhans had to accept the Chalukyas, another Rajput dynasty from Gujarat, as their superiors. This means the Chauhans were not completely free. They had to show loyalty to the more powerful Chalukyas. But this didn't last long. Soon, the Chauhans became independent again. 4. Rise to power and expansion. After becoming free, the Chauhans started expanding their power. They're very powerful in northeast, a region called Rajputana in those days. The Chauhans didn't just protect their land. They began conquering other kingdoms too. 5. Visaladeva III. One of the strongest Chauhan kings was Visaladeva, also called Vigraharaja III. Around 1150 CE, he defeated another Rajput dynasty called the Tamaras and captured Delhi. This made the Chauhans even more powerful because Delhi was a rich and important city. He also defeated the Ghaznavid rulers, Muslim kings from Ghazni in present-day Afghanistan, and took Hansi, a town in modern Haryana. So, under Visaladeva, the Chauhans were expanding fast, defeating both Indian and foreign enemies. 6. Prithviraj Sid. After Visaladeva, his descendant, Prithviraj II, became king. He ruled for a short time, from 1167 to 1169 CE. He is mainly remembered as the father of the famous Prithviraj III. 7. Prithviraj III, Rai Pithora. Prithviraj III, also called Rai Pithora, ruled from 1178 to 1193 CE. He is the most famous Chauhan ruler, known for his bravery, strength, and battles. He became a hero in many stories and legends, like the love story of Samyukta and Prithviraj, and tales of his fight against Muhammad Ghori. He conquered Mahoba, a city in Uttar Pradesh, from Paramardi, the Chandela ruler. He was a great warrior, but also had a problem. He did not get along well with other nearby kings. He had no strong allies, which became dangerous when bigger enemies attacked. 8. His reputation and weakness. Prithviraj III was famous for courage and seen as a symbol of Rajput bravery, but he made enemies instead of friends among other Indian rulers. This lack of unity among Rajput kings was one reason why Muhammad Ghori was able to defeat Prithviraj in the Second Battle of Tarain, 1192 CE. In short, what to remember? Point summary. Who equals Rajput kings of Ajmer? Where? Ruled from Ajmer, Rajasthan, took Delhi and Hansi to 12th century CE, 1000s to 1100s. Famous kings: Ajayapala Visaladeva, Prithviraj II, Prithviraj III, Rai Pithora. Victories: took Delhi from Tamaras, Hansi from Ghaznavids, Mahoba from Chandelas. Problems: poor relations with neighbor kings, lack of unity. Fall: Prithviraj III lost to Muhammad Ghori in 1192 CE. Final thoughts. The Chauhans of Ajmer were one of the last big Rajput powers before the Delhi Sultanate began. Their story shows both great bravery and the danger of disunity among Indian rulers. Prithviraj III became a legend in Indian culture. Even though he lost in the end, people remember him as a hero. Would you like a timeline of events? A map with all the places? Stories, legends about Prithviraj? Just ask. Happy to go deeper or simpler. Sure. Let's go much deeper, step by step, with really simple words and examples so you fully understand everything about the Gahadwaras of Kanauj and their story. #1. Who were the Gahadwaras? The Gahadwaras were a family who ruled over a kingdom in India long ago. They were part of the Rajput group. Think of Rajputs like a group of brave warriors and kings who ruled many parts of India. They were famous for being fighters and protectors of their land. The family, or dynasty, means kings from the same family ruled one after the other, like a chain, father to son, or uncle to nephew, etc. #2. What is Kanauj? Was a very important city and kingdom in northern India. Imagine a city that is rich, full of people, traders, temples, and a strong army. That's Kanauj. It was famous for being a center of power and wealth. Kanauj meant you had control over India. #3. What areas did the Gahadwaras start with? When they began, the Gahadwaras ruled some important cities and regions. Kashi, Banaras, a holy city on the river Ganges. Kaushala, Awadh, an area full of farms and towns. Kaushik, Allahabad region, near where the rivers meet, also important. Indraprastha, Delhi region, the area around today's capital city Delhi. These were like the first pieces of land or home for their kingdom. 4. How did their kingdom grow bigger? The Gahadwaras did not just stay in these original areas. They wanted to rule more land and become stronger. They used warfare. This means fighting battles to take over nearby lands. But they did this carefully with a plan. It was not random fighting. They chose places and enemies carefully and won step by step. Imagine a game of chess where you think ahead about which squares to take to win. That's how they expanded their kingdom. 5. Who were the important kings? Govinda Chand was one of the famous kings. During his time, the kingdom grew larger, especially towards the east. The border of their kingdom moved as far as Patna, which is far away to the east from Kanauj. This shows how big the kingdom became. After Govinda Chand, his successor was Vijaya Chand, ruled around 1155 to 1170 AD. He kept fighting wars like his father to keep growing the kingdom or protect it. Finally, there was Jaya Chand, the last king of the Gahadwaras. Nahar 6. What does aggressive warfare mean? It means they didn't just defend their kingdom quietly. They attacked enemies and tried to take their land. Think of it like a football team that always tries to score goals instead of just defending their side. This helped the Gahadwaras become powerful, but it also meant they were always ready for battle. Number 7. What happened during Jaya Chand's time? Jaya Chand lived during a very important period. At the same time, a powerful ruler named Muhammad of Ghur came to India from the west, Afghanistan. Muhammad of Ghur wanted to take over parts of India and fought against many kings, including Jaya Chand. Jaya Chand was the last king of the Gahadwaras because eventually their kingdom was defeated and the dynasty ended. 8. Why is this important? The story of the Gahadwaras shows us how kingdoms rise and fall. They grew by fighting wars and ruling important cities, but outside invaders like Muhammad of Ghur changed the history of India by defeating some of these kingdoms. This marked the start of big changes in Indian history, like the beginning of Muslim rule in northern India. Let me give you a very simple example. Imagine you and your friends have a small group where you are the leader. You start with 4 friends in 4 places. Friend A in Banaras, friend B in Awadh, friend C in Allahabad, friend D in Delhi. You want your group to grow bigger, so you decide to invite more friends from other neighborhoods by convincing them or playing games to win their trust. Sometimes you have to compete with other groups, so you play hard and win new friends. This is like fighting battles. You plan carefully whom to ask next and how to keep your group safe. One day, a new very strong player like Muhammad of Ghur comes and challenges your group. After a tough competition, your group loses and the leader changes. Summary in simple points. Gahadwaras were a Rajput family who ruled Kanauj. Their kingdom started with a few important cities, but grew bigger by winning wars. Govinda Chand was a strong king who expanded the kingdom eastward. Vijaya Chand kept fighting wars to grow and protect the kingdom. Jaya Chand was the last king before Muhammad of Ghur's invasions. Their story shows how kingdoms grow by fighting and planning, but can end when stronger invaders come. If you want, I can explain any part again or tell you more about any king or event. Just ask. Would you like that? Sure. Here's a deep, detailed summary of the story of the Chandelas of Bundelkhand and the Paramaras of Malwa, explained simply but thoroughly. Summary. The Chandelas, Kalachuris, and Paramaras, powerful Rajput families and their rise and fall. 1. The Rajputs were warrior clans known for ruling kingdoms in medieval India. Among these, the Chandelas, Kalachuris, and Paramaras were important families who fought often to protect and expand their lands. 2. The Chandelas were a Rajput family who rose to power in the 10th century AD. They ruled in Bundelkhand, a region in central India between 2 great rivers, the Ganga and Yamuna. Their main centers were forts and towns like Kalinjar, Mahoba, Khajuraho, and possibly Jhansi. 3. The Chandelas became strong under kings like Madan Varma, who was brave and skilled in battle. He defeated other important families such as the Paramaras of Malwa and held his ground against powerful neighbors like Siddharaj. Madan Varma also fought and defeated the Kalachuris, who ruled in the nearby region of Chedi, from their capital at Tripuri, modern-day Jabalpur. Number 4. Over time, the Kalachuris lost their independence and became feudatories, meaning they had to serve and obey the Chandelas by the end of the 12th century. This shows how the Chandela power grew stronger compared to the Kalachuris. 5. Despite their power, the Chandelas eventually weakened. They were finally defeated by another Rajput clan called the Gahadwaras. The last important Chandela king, Paramardi Deva, was defeated by Prithviraj II of the Chauhan dynasty and had to give up part of his kingdom to the Chauhans. 6. The Paramaras of Malwa, once a very powerful dynasty, especially under their famous king Bhoja, c. 1010 to 1055 AD, had declined by the 12th century. Bhoja was well known for his wisdom and support of art and literature, as well as military strength. But later Paramara rulers became weak and lost much of their territory. 7. At the time of Muhammad of Ghurid's invasion in the late 12th century, the Paramara king was a minor and weak ruler. He had become a vassal to the Chalukyas of Gujarat, which meant he had lost real power and independence. 8. This story of the three families, the rise, battles, alliances, weakening, and defeats, shows the constant struggle for power among Rajput clans in medieval India. Territories were always contested, and strong leaders made kingdoms grow, while weak rulers caused their downfall. 9. The Chandelas are also remembered for their cultural achievements, especially the beautiful Khajuraho temples, which show how rich and powerful they were at their peak. Why this matters? History helps us understand how Indian kingdoms worked before large empires took over. It shows the importance of strong leadership in keeping kingdoms safe. It explains why some dynasties became powerful while others disappeared. It also gives context to the changes in India caused by new invaders like Muhammad of Ghurid. If you want, I can break down any part further or explain how these kingdoms affected Indian culture and history in even more detail. Here's a deep and very detailed summary of the Palace of North Bengal, simple language, so even a complete beginner can understand. Who were the Palas? The Palas were a royal family who ruled over eastern India, especially Bengal and Bihar, for several centuries, starting in the 8th century CE. The word Pala means protector in Sanskrit. Every king in this dynasty had Pala in his name, like Gopala Pala. They were known for being Buddhist rulers when most kings in India were Hindu, building big Buddhist universities, Nanda and Vikramashila, having powerful armies, supporting art, education, and trade. The empire at its strongest. The palace created a large empire covering all of Bengal, both today's West Bengal and Bangladesh, all of Bihar, and sometimes parts of Odisha, Assam, and Uttar Pradesh. At its height, the palace had international fame. People from Tibet, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia respected them. They were one of the three biggest powers in India at that time, along with the Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas. Decline of the empire. Over time, their empire weakened for many reasons. Later kings were weak and couldn't manage the empire well. Enemies attacked from the outside. Local governors rebelled and started acting like kings of their own areas. This slowly broke the empire into smaller pieces. Ramapala, the last strong king. Around the 12th century, one king named Ramapala tried to save the empire. He won battles in areas like Utkal, part of Odisha, Kalinga, also Odisha, Kamarupa, ancient Assam. He brought back the glory of the palace for a short time, but after Ramapala died, didn't last. Final collapse of the palace. After Ramapala, the next kings like Kumarapala, 1126 to 1130, and Madanapala, 1130 to 1150, were very weak. The empire started breaking down fast. Assam, Brahmaputra Valley, declared independence. Southern Bengal also broke away. Local officers and governors started ruling on their own. New dynasties took control in Bihar, like in Gaya and Hazaribagh. So by the mid-1100s, the once great Pala Empire was reduced to a tiny kingdom in North Bengal. Final result. The Palas, who once ruled a huge empire, now controlled just a small area. Their power was gone. Their lands were taken over by new rulers. Their fame faded, and they became a part of history. In simple story form, think of the Pala Empire like a giant tree. It grew strong, spreading branches, territories in all directions. Birds, Buddhists, traders, students came to sit on it. But slowly, the tree grew old. Branches fell off one by one. At the end, only a small trunk, North Bengal, remained before it too was cut down by time. Let me know if you'd like a timeline, a map, a character profile of Ramapala, or a visual family tree of the Pala dynasty. I can make the learning even easier and more fun. Here is a very simple, clear, and deeply detailed summary of the passage you shared, like I'm teaching a total beginner. Main idea. The Sena dynasty became powerful in Bengal, eastern India, after the Pala Empire became weak and collapsed. The Senas were originally from South India, but they moved to the east and built a strong kingdom. However, their power didn't last long because of internal problems, wars, and foreign invasions. Who were the Senas? The Sena family came from southern India. They settled in eastern India in the 1100s AD, 11th century. They became powerful when the Pala Empire, which earlier ruled Bengal, started to fall. Important kings of the Sena dynasty. 1. Vijaya Sena, ruled 1097 to 1159. The first strong king of the Sena dynasty. He captured East Bengal and then also North Bengal. He fought many wars against nearby regions, Kamarupa in Assam, Kalinga in Odisha, South Bengal. He also defeated Nanyadeva, the king of Mithila, a region in North Bihar. Under him, the Sena kingdom became big and strong. 2. Balala Sena, ruled 1159 to 1170. He was the son of Vijaya Sena. Continued ruling the kingdom. Not much detail is given about his rule here. 3. Lakshmana Sena, ruled 1170 to 1206. He was the son of Balala Sena. By his time, the kingdom included North Bengal, East Bengal, Mithila, maybe even some areas to the west of Mithila. But during his rule, the government had internal conflicts, fighting within the kingdom. He was old, so his leadership became weak. These problems made the Sena kingdom fragile and easy to attack. The bigger picture in northern India. At that time, North India was divided into many small kingdoms. These small kingdoms often fought each other. Each king wanted to be the most powerful and rule over others. They didn't care about what was happening in the northwestern regions, like Punjab, Multan, Sindh. These regions had already been taken over by foreign invaders, like Turks, but Indian kings did not unite to fight them or push them out. Why didn't Indian kings unite against foreign invaders? There was no unity among Indian kingdoms. Everyone was busy fighting their neighbors. The idea of India as one nation didn't exist yet. People were more loyal to local kingdoms or castes, not to the land as a whole. So it was very hard for them to join together to fight back against foreign invaders. What was happening to Indian society and culture? Since the 1100s, there were no big changes in administration, economy, culture, or society. Everything had become static, unchanging, stuck. Society was not progressing. Ways, it was declining. This made India weak and vulnerable to foreign attacks. In short, very simple summary, kings ruled Gaul after the Pala dynasty fell. Vijayasena was a great conqueror. His grandson Lakshmana Sena ruled a big kingdom, but it weakened due to fights and his old age. At the same time, Indian kings kept fighting each other, so they could not unite to stop Turkish invaders, who had already taken places like Punjab and Sindh. Indian society had stopped growing and was slowly going down. All this made India easy to invade. If you'd like, I can also explain each part even more slowly, word by word, like a beginner's story. Would you like that next? Absolutely. Let me now explain the whole story of early Ghur with even more detail, simple words, and easy examples. I'll go step by step, making it very clear so you understand everything fully. Question 1. Where is Ghur? Ghur is a mountainous area. Imagine a place full of tall hills and mountains. It's located between two important old cities called Ghazni and Herat. These cities were very important in history and are in today's Afghanistan. Think of it like this. If Ghazni and Herat are two big towns, Ghur is a small mountain region sitting right between them. 2. What was Ghur in the 10th century? The 10th century AD means the years 900 to 999, about 1100 years ago. Back then, Ghur was an independent principality. This means it was a small kingdom that ruled itself. It was not controlled by any bigger empire. The people who ruled Ghur belonged to a family called the Shansbani dynasty. A dynasty means a family of rulers who passed down power from father to son. This family was Tajik, a group of people in Central Asia who speak a form of Persian Farsi. They came from Persian origins, which means their culture and language were connected to Persia, modern Iran. Example. Imagine a small family-run kingdom in the mountains, where the rulers speak Persian and run their own government. 3. What happened in 1009 AD? The king of Ghur then was Muhammad bin Suri. A very powerful king named Mahmud of Ghazni, ruler of Ghazni, fought against Muhammad bin Suri. Mahmud was like a strong emperor who wanted to control many lands. In about 1009, Mahmud defeated Muhammad bin Suri in battle. Because Muhammad lost, he was forced to accept Mahmud as his boss. Muhammad could still rule Ghur, but only as a vassal or servant to Mahmud. Vassal means you keep your kingdom, but you must obey and give respect or money to the stronger king. Example. Imagine two boys, one very strong, Mahmud, and one smaller, Muhammad. The smaller boy loses a fight and agrees to do what the stronger boy says if he wants to keep playing in his backyard. 4. What happened after 1009? From then on, the kings of Ghur had to obey the kings of Ghazni. Ghur became a feudatory of Ghazni. This means it was a smaller state that served and paid respect to a bigger state. But this didn't last forever. 5. What happened after Mahmud died in 1030? Mahmud died in 1030. After his death, the kingdom of Ghazni became weaker. It started to lose power and control. This weakness made it easier for Ghur to become more independent again. 6. Why did Ghur get stronger? The royal families of Ghazni and Ghur started to fight with each other. They did not get along. This fight is called a quarrel, which means a big argument or battle. What started the quarrel? A man named Bahram, a ruler from Ghazni, killed a prince from Ghur named Malik Qutb-ud-Din Hassan. This made the family of Ghur very angry. 8. What was the result of the murder? Malik Qutb-ud-Din Hassan had a brother named Saif-ud-Din Suri. Saif-ud-Din got very angry and decided to take revenge. He invaded, attacked Ghazni, and defeated Bahram in battle. 9. What happened next? Bahram fought back and took revenge by killing Saif-ud-Din. Now both families were very angry and started a long family feud, a bitter fight between family groups. 10. Who was Ala-ud-Din Hussein? Ala-ud-Din Hussein was another brother from the Ghur family, younger than Saif-ud-Din. He wanted to punish Ghazni for killing his brother. He attacked the city of Ghazni and completely destroyed it. He burnt down the city. 11. Why was Ala-ud-Din Hussein called Jahan Soz? Because he destroyed and burnt the city so badly. People called him Jahan Soz. The nickname means world burner, like someone who burns everything everywhere. Summary story. Long ago, there was a mountain kingdom called Ghur between two cities. It was ruled by a Tajik Persian family. The king of a nearby powerful kingdom, Ghazni, defeated Ghur's king and made him obey him. After the powerful king of Ghazni died, Ghazni became weak. The families ruling Ghazni and Ghur started fighting because a Ghazni prince killed a prince of Ghur. This started a family fight with battles and revenge. Finally, a younger brother of the Ghur family burnt down Ghazni's city and became famous as the World Burner. Extra info. This story shows how small kingdoms sometimes had to obey bigger ones, but tried to become free when the bigger one became weak. It also shows how family fights could turn into big wars and cause destruction. If you want, I can also explain who Mahmud of Ghazni was, what a dynasty or principality is, with more examples. The bigger historical context of this region in simple terms? Just tell me. Here's a deeply detailed but very simple summary of the full passage you gave, like teaching a complete beginner or a child with full context and explanation. The rise and fall of Alauddin and the growth of the Ghurid Empire. 1. Alauddin's rise and wars. Alauddin was a powerful king of the Ghurid dynasty, which ruled parts of Afghanistan and nearby regions in the 1100 CE. He got into a conflict with Sanjar, the last powerful emperor of the Seljuk dynasty, a big empire in Central Asia. But Alauddin didn't lose because Sanjar was facing other troubles and couldn't focus on the war. Take this. Alauddin expanded his kingdom. He captured important regions like Bamiyan, Turkestan, Jirun, Bast, Gargistan, and the rich city of Herat. These were most modern Afghanistan and Central Asia. However, toward the end of his some of these places, like Balkh, Herat, and Turkestan, but still kept control of other areas in his kingdom. He died in 1161. His successors, Saif-ud-Din and Ghiyas-ud-Din. After Alauddin's death, his son Saif-ud-Din became king. When Saif-ud-Din died, his cousin Ghiyas-ud-Din took over the throne of Ghur. 3. Ghiyas-ud-Din's rule. Ghiyas-ud-Din was smart and powerful. He recaptured the city of Ghazni, which had been lost by earlier Ghurid kings. He also expanded the Ghurid kingdom by conquest. But he had ambitions, and he went to war with a strong rival, the Khwarezm Shah, ruler of another Central Asian kingdom. At first, Ghiyas won some battles and captured parts of Khorasan, but eventually he was defeated very badly at the Battle of Andkhud. After this defeat, he was allowed to keep only Herat and Balkh, two major cities. The rest of his conquests were lost, so his attempts to expand westward in Central Asia failed, and now the Ghurids started looking eastward toward India to expand. 4. Rise of Muhammad Ghuri. In 1173 CE, Ghiyas-ud-Din gave his younger brother, Shahabuddin, also called Muiz-ud-Din Muhammad, the job of ruling Ghazni. This man is better known in history as Muhammad Ghuri. He was very loyal to his elder brother, Ghiyas-ud-Din. Even though he ruled Ghazni almost like a king, he still respected his brother by putting his name on the coins and treating him as the main ruler. Suzerain, Muhammad Ghuri was a strong and active ruler. He later became famous for being the third major Muslim invader of India, after Muhammad bin Qasim and Mahmud of Ghazni. Summary in a nutshell. The Ghurid dynasty started growing under Alauddin, who captured many regions in Afghanistan and Central Asia. His successors, especially Ghiyas-ud-Din, tried to fight powerful enemies in the west, but didn't succeed. So the Ghurids turned their eyes to the east, India. Muhammad Ghuri, the younger brother of Ghiyas, played a key role in this eastern expansion and became one of the most important Muslim conquerors of India. Let me know if you'd like a comic-style version of this, a timeline version, or a map showing these places visually. I'm happy to help.